Hey YouTube, Mark Kaufman here, and today I am going to be talking about the 2003 catalog from Seiko. Now, this was probably before the time I was really into watches or was buying watches or even had the money to buy the watches I wanted to buy, but this is the Seiko that I remember. Primarily because my dad always wore a Seiko watch, and this wasn't I mean, it's not the most incredible brand, but is definitely a brand that has some great offerings. And being that this is from 2003, you can expect some of these models to be discontinued. So, but I hope that this reveals to people what they were either producing at that time or the model numbers needed to hunt down that watch that you always wanted or maybe you coveted for a while. And there's a few here that I regret selling that I've actually owned. So I'll probably point those out as I go through this catalog. But this is definitely a catalog that is very interesting to look at and to go through. Now, granted, there are a lot of models on each page, so I'm not going to be going through every single one of those. So here we go. This is the 2003 catalog, and hopefully I'm able to get all this into the frame. Now, this catalog has all these different models, and there's dive watches, ladies watches, Premier line, their Vivace or Vivace line, their Windward line, and their chronographs. I mean, a lot of this stuff is either no longer made, has been pushed to different models, or it's very interesting. So here we go. Now, this one here, the Sportra line, this one here at the top retailed for $24.95. These are actually very rare, very hard to find. And if you ever want to see one in the wild, just watch Jay Leno's Garage. He wears this one quite often, and I can get why. I mean, it's very automotive inspired, and it's very unique. Granted, that was the retail. These go for a lot more now. Excuse me. So here we are with the Sportra line. We have the titanium, which is $25.95 retail, and then we have a stainless steel model. And then we have, it looks like this is a composite. This probably is titanium and steel. No, it might, I think it might be just a different model. I think it's this, but not titanium and stainless steel. Yes, because this dial here is a little different. But this also had a few iterations as submodels, and the one that is actually on the front right here is this one, the SNG031. This has a ceramic, not ceramic, a carbon fiber dial, which is very, very unique. All of these watches are actually relatively hard to find right now. And so then this is the Premier Alarm Chronograph line. I'll just point out that I used to own this one. Very unique watch, especially since it had a domed sapphire crystal. Very, very cool. If I had to own one of these, it'd probably be that one out of that line. And I'm going to probably skip through a few of these since there is quite a few pages and watches in here. So I'm probably going to just skip around. This one here, this is the Kinetic Windward, and this one here was this complex, very unique bracelet design was very popular back in the 90s and early 2000s. It was just the time where watches had a very unique and very organic looking bracelet. And then here is your Legrand Sport. And this one was one that I actually wish they still had, especially in this titanium. It was a very nice watch at the time. I have handled a few of these, so I have a little bit of experience regarding some of these models. So that is why I'm able to speak about them. These here, the Kinetics, this is just their standard Kinetic. But this line here, very beefy bracelets, very thick, very chunky, very weighty. And I don't know if they meant to do that, but it just spoke to the quality at that time, and very solid bracelets. These chronographs here just ooze early 2000s, very Oakley looking, very unique looking, and I have to say this one looks the most handsome out of the four. Nothing really stands out to me, and of course, if you want to get more exposure to these, just pause and maybe take a screenshot, try and get the model numbers. I'm hoping that these are coming out just fine, which I believe they are, and you should be able to search those up and maybe even search up the movement calibers on each. Now, here's a very interesting page. These are actually Seiko's Quartz divers. I have never seen this one ever, but I have seen these other four. This one actually fetches a pretty good price on the secondary market, and I've owned one in mint condition. I have to say it's not absolutely incredible, but if you like that Seiko SKX009 look, but didn't really want it to be automatic, this is definitely a great way to go about it, except they don't make it anymore. This one here is almost fetching the retail price used. I don't know why. It's just probably because orange dials are very popular right now. Excuse me. And it's just a harder watch to find, but for some reason that one is going for a lot more. Now, here is, I think, Seiko's, it was at least their bread and butter when it came to their affordable dive watches. I've owned this one. This one was an oddball. I felt it was a very odd dive watch. It exuded those early 2000 qualities with very integrated lines and very unique shapes, but I didn't find it to be very useful. This is the SKX 175. It's basically essentially the SKX 009. It just differs based upon where it was built. And this one here, I've had this one, and this one. I regret selling this one because these are actually gaining more, I guess, getting a higher not higher quality, a higher price range on the secondary market, because this was very reminiscent of the SK, not the SK, no, I can't remember the model number, but very reminiscent of the 7009 series divers from the 80s and early 90s. These were originally came out in 94, and I've owned this one. I've had two of those, and I really regretted it because Seiko doesn't do very many yellow dials anymore, and that was such a cool watch to have. Now, I do still have an SKX009. I will not be selling it because they've discontinued it. Now, these watches here are really not, they're nothing really special except for this one. This was actually my father's watch. I had this watch for many years, misplaced it, but I will always remember my dad for this watch. He loved that one. Railroad approved watch. That's the only thing that really jumps out on the page here. Some interesting ladies models. We're getting up there in time, so I'm going to just skip through these, primarily because they just don't really interest me. Let's see. Oh, I have owned this one. I got that in a watch lot. It was a very thin, dressy piece. I will say for the gold watches in Seiko's line, oh, and I have owned that one as well. In the gold watches of Seiko's line, unfortunately, they used a lot of gold-plated, I guess, base metal, which is basically a brass case. Those, unfortunately, don't really last in salty environments. Now, this is their imprinted dials and company dials. You can have those custom made for you. And boy, I really went through that. What the heck happened here? Oh, these are all instructions. Oh my gosh. Okay. And even instructions on how to remove certain links, etc., etc. Well, how... Wow, okay, I thought there was going to be a lot more in here. Maybe I can go back to a few things. Let's see. Let me talk more about the divers watches here. So these are actually running a 7S26 movement, and they've actually discontinued that movement. They are now moving over to the 4R36 caliber movements. They're essentially the same. I actually preferred the 7S26. I felt it was a little more robust, a little more of a more easier caliber to service than the other ones, but just not too much of a difference there. Let me see here. Let me take a second look here. This one is in titanium and has a Cyclops on top. That's interesting. I mean, it was a lot shorter than I thought, but yeah, that is the, okay, and I missed one here. This is a very cool pilot's watch. I think I've owned one of those. I can't really remember. That is cool. Yeah, it was a lot shorter than I thought. Most of that is all manuals, to be honest, and life expectancies on the movements and calibers and battery lives and warranties. So, very interesting. Huh. All right, well, that is it. And here's some information on the back. I'm pretty sure some of this might be outdated, but you can see all that there. So, yeah, that is the catalog from Seiko from the year 2003. Let me know if you guys enjoyed going through this catalog with me, and if you did, let me know in the comments. Till the next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.